This is Valmiki Ramayan, Season 7, Episode 22, Uttarakand, Ravan, Shambuk and other stories. We saw previously that the end of the Uttarakand reads like it is the end of the Valmiki Ramayan. In fact, in the last sarga of the Uttarakand, Valmiki uses the phrase Ramayanam idam kritsnam. This means that the text up to the end of the Uttarakand is the entire Ramayan, kritsnam. This is also the end of the story, according to the summary Valmiki gave right at the beginning, in the first sarga of the Balakand. Remember, we had heard about the summary in episode 2 of season 1. However, the copy of the Ramayan that we hold in our hands today has one more Kand, the Uttarakand, or the epilogue. Many experts believe that the Uttarakand was not a part of Valmiki's original text. It got added later.
How can we be sure about this?
Let us read the Uttarakand. You will see for yourself that Maharshi Valmiki could not have authored it. The Uttarakand begins with various rishis coming to Ram's court to congratulate him on his victory. And during their discussions, Agastya Muni narrates numerous incidents from Ravan's past, including his victories and losses in battle. There is one story in the Uttarakand about Ravan and King Arjun. King Arjun defeated Ravan on the battlefield, tied him up with ropes, and dragged him back to his capital. He released Ravan only when Ravan's grandfather, the great Rishi Pulastya, intervened. Later, the Uttarakand talks about Ravan's loss to Vali in a duel. In this one-sided affair, Vali caught Ravan's neck in his armpit and paraded the helpless Rakshas all around. Eventually, Ravan acknowledged Vali's superiority and made a peace deal. He stayed in Kishkinda for a month before returning to Lanka. Note, these descriptions in the Uttarakand are strikingly contrary to what we know about the king of the Rakshasas. Whatever his other faults, Valmiki's Ravan was a great warrior. He would not have meekly accepted defeat to strike a peace deal with Vali. He would have gone down fighting. Remember, in episode 7 of this season, just before the war, Ravan had said clearly, Dvidha bhajyeyamapi nanameyantu kasyachit. I may get cut into 2 pieces, but I will never bend. And later, towards the end of the war, Ravan was beside himself with grief upon Indrajit's loss. All the other Rakshas leaders had also been killed. Even then, Ravan never considered backing down. He threw himself into one final battle. This was the real Ravan. On the other hand, if we take the Uttarakand to be authentic, Ravan would have to be a weakling. And think about it. If Ravan had indeed lost to King Arjun, surely Vibhishan would have mentioned this to Ram when they discussed Ravan's strengths and weaknesses before the war. If Vali had indeed defeated Ravan, Sugriv would have mentioned this to Ram when he described Vali's exploits in season 5, episode 4. Remember, Sugriv had talked about Vali defeating Mayavi and Dundubhi, but had not mentioned any encounter between Vali and Ravan. Moving on, the Uttarakand then says that Ram bid farewell to the more than 300 kings that had gathered in Ayodhya. We are told that Bharat had assembled this huge army upon learning that Ravan had kidnapped Sita. Once again, this is contrary to what Valmiki had told us earlier. In episode 20 of this season, we saw that Bharat only learnt about Sita's abduction when Hanuman told him about it. Obviously, he had not assembled any army to secure Sita's release. The Uttarakand tells a story about a person called Shambuk. We are told that Ram kills Shambuk because he dares to do tapasya even though he was born a Shudra. Now, in the society described by Valmiki, Shambuk doing tapasya was not a crime in any way, and Valmiki's Ram could never punish an innocent person. Remember the story of Dashrath accidentally killing a young Muni in Season 3, Episode 4. That Muni's father was a Vaishya by birth, and the mother belonged to the Shudra community. Valmiki repeatedly used the words Rishi, Muni, and Tapasvi to describe all three of them. The spiritual path, tapasya, and the study of scriptures was open to all sections of society. Later, in Season 4, Episode 13, we saw how Shabari started as an attendant or a maid in Matanga Muni's ashram. But she always participated in the discussions among the rishis. Vidnyane tam nityam abahishkritam. She was never kept away from knowledge. And in time, she became Siddha, an accomplished ascetic, and Siddha Sammata, accepted and respected by other accomplished ascetics. No one was kept away from knowledge and learning. Of course, this was during Valmiki's time. We know that in later ages, there was discrimination in society based on class of birth. Perhaps the Uttarakand got added to the Ramayan in this later period. In the next episode, we shall see what the Uttarakand says about what happened with Sita after the coronation. We will be left wondering which Sita and which Ram the Uttarakand is referring to. Surely they are not the ones Valmiki has told us about. Iti, her, asa. That is how it happened.